Jay. You know, you come across a lot of people. Some people are good to you, and some are not. And this one right here, Vince Cotroneo, he is fantastic to me, and he agreed to join me. I'm just going to read your resume off of Twitter, Vince. It says broadcaster, Oakland Athletics, on Twitter, @Vince Baseball, which really makes it very easy. You're just Vince and your baseball. Vince Baseball. How are you, Vince?
Zachariah, good to talk to you. Good to catch up, and it was good to hear that you wanted to connect. I'm glad things are going well for you in Sacramento.
Yeah, so you know, we air the games here, and I, for the first time in a long time, like not actually working the game, but just going as a fan, I did the whole thing. I took Bart, I crossed over the bridge. I was like, you know, all in on the Battle of the Bay on Sunday. Unfortunately, A's dropped both games, but how much better is it, Vince? Because oftentimes this happens. I remember when I was working, there was times where, like, the second to last game, there'd be 15 people in the stadium. And then game one of the playoffs, the place, like, you couldn't even get a standing-only ticket. How much better is it when it's, like, something where there's a feeling in the Coliseum?
Well, I think you could say that for any event that you're at, whether you're at a theater or at another sporting event. When you have energy in the building, I for sure think it makes a difference. It makes a difference for the players, makes a difference for the coaches, makes a difference for Mark Kotze managing the team, makes a difference for us, Ken and I upstairs, because you feed off of the energy. You know, when they're part of making an exciting call is the crowd and letting the crowd be a part of it. And especially, you know, as we learned with the passing of Vin Scully last week at age 94, there was nobody better at that, at understanding and using the crowd as part of the whole scenario of putting that play together and allowing the fan that's listening to enjoy it. So, yeah, when you had 71,000 people here on Saturday and Sunday combined, and having the great Hall of Fame inductions on Sunday, and getting a chance to relive some of athletics history for the fans, all good things. And unfortunately, you know, on the short end, didn't get a chance to bring the Babe Ruth trophy back. But when that happens, it's a place to be. You've seen it, Zachariah, when the team is playing well, and they've got a chance to go to the postseason. The front office is aggressive, and they'll put every effort as they can to make the club viable to try to get to the postseason. And when that happens, you see the crowds come out, and there are no better fans in baseball than Oakland A's fans.
Yeah, we're going to get to that in a minute, but I want you to go back to the Vince thing, because I never had the honor of doing what you do, but even doing like my post-game stuff when they were good and relevant, just even in my post-game shows, there would be people out there cheering, you know, just like, you know, from my little box or whatever. But go back to Vince for a second. What exactly did he do with his craft in terms of what you're saying, in terms of allowing the crowd to be a part of his call?
Well, first of all, you know, a master of the English language, a master storyteller, and just a craftsman of the moment. You know, we could sit there and I know I could, I haven't, but I could sit there and try to write down some, you know, things that I want to use in a certain situation if that moment presented itself. A, Vin never did that, and B, it just flowed out of him so naturally that you couldn't sit there and write it any better, and he did it the spur of the moment, and he did it live. That's why he was the greatest, and he was as wonderful a gentleman as he was a broadcaster. All of us that have been in this fraternity have had an opportunity to spend a moment or two with Ben, and we all have those kinds of stories. So thankful that we were, you know, given an opportunity to watch him work, see him, you know, pregame, and just seeing the smile on his face. And he always made it feel like when you spent time with him that was the most important part of his day. And as we all know, he had that completely backwards. But again, master of the language and just an understanding of the moment. And you know, like with the two big moments with Henry Aaron, he literally stepped away after 7:15 and stood in the back of the booth for almost 3 minutes before he made the speech about how great it was for, you know, baseball and the city of Atlanta and the state of Georgia, all those kinds of things. And the same thing with Kurt Gibson when he hit the home run off of Dennis Eckersley.
No, we don't talk about that, Vince. We don't bring that up, Vince. We don't talk about it. Sorry, that is like bringing up a nightmare for me. But everything else, yes, absolutely. All right, now I'm going to hold your feet to the fire. Look, I know how it goes. Okay, I'm 38. Okay, and so the only championship that I have out of any of my favorite teams is 1989 when the A's beat the Giants. And since then, we went from, because like in the 70s, they won 3 in a row, blah, 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 blah. But like since then, I know how it goes. We get a bunch of good guys, and then once their time to get paid, like Matt Olson, et cetera, we don't pay them. Is there going to be any sort of change? Because, I mean, what happens is you're like super into the team. They make the playoffs like they did when they're young and they're not, they don't have to get paid. And then they don't get paid. Then you're bad for a few years. And then you get prospects back like they did for Montas. And then you root for them again. Is there going to be any change to that unless there's some sort of stadium solution?
Well, I think they're tied together. I mean, that's no surprise, Zachariah. I'm not breaking any news here, but that is as important a vehicle to make that happen as any. Look, I travel. I see the other ballparks. I see the other baseball villages in Texas, in Atlanta, in St. Louis, in Colorado, in Baltimore, and what that means, where the stadium is a fulcrum, part of that entertainment, and that brings people out. It allows you to generate revenue. It allows you to be in a position to try to look at and identify players that you want to be
sell jerseys
moving forward.
Yeah. So I'm just saying. So it's just going to be the same cycle until that okay. And then let me ask you this: do you think that's going to be resolved soon? I saw some good news coming out of Oakland that they approved so and so, but I've been hearing that for 2 decades now, Vince.
Sure. Yeah, it's a fair point. Every vote to this point has gone in favor of the Athletics, and that said, as close as they are still a ways away. And when you get politics involved, and 2 franchises have already left the area and gone to other pastures, and you're the last team standing, and it's still the kind of struggle that it continues to be, I don't honestly know how it's going to turn out. But you're talking about a team that has a great tradition in this community. I don't think they'll want to get up and just simply leave for the sake of leaving. They know what a Howard Terminal Stadium and project would mean to this community. It's as big an undertaking as any in the state of California. All you do is look across the bay and see what happened. That took time. I mean, when AT&T or whatever when Oracle was built way back when, that whole area was not the greatest area ever.
No, they almost went to Florida.
It just takes time for that to develop, and now 20 plus years later, you see what they have, and that's what the A's vision is: get the stadium in there, have the parks, start building the housing, entertainment, hotels,
restaurants, all that good stuff.
That's how Atlanta pays for the stadium. That's how St. Louis pays for the stadium. Yeah. That's how Texas pays for the stadium.
Absolutely.
That's not a unique formula to Oakland. That's a formula that has worked and has been used elsewhere in baseball, and that's all the A's are trying to get done. And that said, we'll know a lot more by the end of the year, but I'm not so sure that you'll have an end-all answer by December 31st. And if it continues to drag again beyond elections and whatnot, then it's a whole nother can of worms that has to be opened, and that makes it even more muddied. And I don't think anybody wants to see that. So I'm hopeful that that's not the case.
All right. Well, at Vince Baseball on Twitter, Vince, I want the stadium in Oakland. I want you to remain in Oakland. Ken Korak to remain in Oakland. I want a good ball club. I want it kills me. And this is like the bad part. When I went to the Battle of the Bay series, I went with my buddy. He's a Giants fan, and it's like he's so spoiled with 3 titles. I mean, I know we swept them, which is I always bring up. That's my only counter, Vince, is that we swept them in 1989. So until they sweep us, I don't want to hear anything from Giants fans. But anyways, hopefully it all works out.
I agree. I mean, just look, I know people are tired of hearing that the two are tied together, but that's the reality of where you are with modern sports franchises. It's the way it is.
Yeah, no, that's what it is. Well, I appreciate you, Vince. You have a great day. Hopefully I'll talk to you soon, and let's go Oakland.
All right. Doors always open, Zach, right? Good to talk to you.
All right, good to talk to you too, Vince Cotroneo. He's the best, man. He's so good. Those guys are so